a bad habit of just playing off of instinct for quite a long time.
Right.
Like the first time I hit plat, like I didn't even know what wave control was. Like the most I knew is like
Yeah.
it's good it's good to back when the wave's under the tower.
Yeah.
So it's like I had no knowledge when I hit my peak, and it's like, and then I've so I'm just coming off of taking like a 2 year break from League of Legends.
Mm-hmm.
So I came back and I only was able to hit gold 1 during the season. I hit plat 4 again during preseason. But I think I'm just bad at like coming up with a plan to improve because I feel like such a cemented habit of just playing off of instinct. So like I'll have a learning objective during a game, but I feel like it just isn't solid or isn't good because something happens and the learning objective kind of just goes out the window and I end up like playing just from instinct again.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think a lot of people have that actually, where like they have this learning objective, but then they kind of like forget it as the game goes on. I think like a really good way to fix that, like not even joking, is to put like a sticky note on your monitor to remind you. I've had a lot of people like do stuff like that, and I think it's pretty useful. Just like kind of, yeah, having that reminder in game. Or another thing could be like, I don't know, maybe every time you die, you like alt tab and check your learning objective again. Like I think finding some way to remind yourself of what you're focusing on during the game is pretty good. And but playing on instinct, I don't think playing from instinct is necessarily bad. I think it is bad if you end up like autopiloting. But I think like
Mhm.
everyone at some point is gonna play based on what they know, right? Like when you're like learning and improving, you're trying to improve that instinct to where it just becomes natural, right? Like I don't really need to think too hard about like where I'm placing my wards or like how I'm controlling my wave because I've like done it so much,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll like look at the replay, kind of see like what the problems are, and kind of write down some ways to fix it. So I'll share my screen, and we'll have a look. And if you have like questions or whatever, just ask me as we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this is Maokai bid. Is that what we're verse?
What was it? I was a Zed. I was versing Zed.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this game went. Uh, I went relatively even. I got a couple solo kills and
Mm-hmm.
double killing their bot lane early, but the rest of the map wasn't doing too good. I feel like there was a chance that we could have won it in the mid game, and I
Right.
feel like that's where I kind of just like fell apart. Like I autopiloted as like, what do I do? And I end up just like, it's like I think I end up this game with like 15 deaths or
Wow.
something like in the mid game. It's like I'm in the side lane, like I'm trying, like I don't feel like I'm getting anything done in the side lane, and then it's like they're constantly like the Elise is constantly picking someone off on my team, so I'm trying to be there, but I just end up dying. So
Okay. All right. So he starts cute. Versus yeah, versus Elise. Okay. So with your wave, I probably would try freeze this early. So like on Irelia, you have like two choices basically. It's either you like hard push the first two waves, crash it, and then have it bounce back out. Because like obviously on Irelia, right? If you have more room to run down your opponent, that's better, right?
yeah.
Because you know
Hmm.
you just like need that space more than you need them to like use a cooldown or whatever. So the two ways you can get this wave on your side is either you just don't order the wave at all to begin with, like you purely just last hit, or you shove those first two waves, have them like crash, and then bounce back out. And I think this game especially, you really need this wave here because you have a farming jungler and they have a ganking jungler. So
Yeah.
if you're like ever outside, like past like halfway of mid, you're gonna be really in trouble. So let's see what you do with the
Mhm.
wave here.
I tend to play pretty aggressive early on Aurelia.
Yeah, I mean that is what the champ does, so I respect that. Yeah, yeah, can definitely punish this guy. Yeah, good trade. So I'd be like focusing pretty heavily on shoving this next wave in. I don't think there's much point to like slow push it, just because like other
Hmm.
champs that slow push, like they can harass on the tower and stuff normally, but I can't really harass on the tower, so good trade. We'll just like try and crash this. Also, where did the jungler start? Let me go back. The jungler started bot. Okay.
I die to a gank here in a bit. They confuse me.
Okay. Okay, so this is all good. Okay, and this wave goes under, looks like. Yeah, nice trade as well. Okay, so right now you should be finding your... Okay, this ward is pretty greedy. So the reason is, if you're verse like... Well, like, as you know, Elise is a ganking jungler, right? And so if you're
Yeah.
verse something that is going to just like full clear and take their raptors, then this ward can probably be fine. But the thing with this ward is that it leaves you vulnerable from like this side. So
Uh,
where's my... I need to get Rift Kit up. Let's go. New window. Oops, what happened there? Actually, what I'll do is I'll just move that one there. Get that. Okay, so let me get a Rift Kit. Like, what junglers are normally going to do, depending on, like, whether or not they can kill raptors quickly, is, like, if they're starting bot side, you know, they might do 3 camps, they might do 2 camps, and then, like, they could just, like, do red, look for gank, they can do, like, red Krugs, look top gank. A lot of the time, they won't, like, do the raptors, so your ward here, I think it's, like, there, it leaves you vulnerable to, like, to anything like that. It leaves you vulnerable to this if it doesn't show that way, or that way. So it's pretty greedy to do that. And like in general, when you're playing seeing deeper wards, it's normally because you have a pink that kind of like allows you to place deeper wards. You know, like it's rare that you can just like immediately move a ward like this deep in their jungle. If you're versus like again like a farming jungler like Lilia, you know Lilia will always like go to raptors, right? And also Lilia doesn't have a lot of threat on you, so it's like find a ward. Same with like Kane or whatever, but Elise is like probably not going to show on these raptors, and it really doesn't actually keep you safe here. I don't think anyway.
yeah. It's funny because that's what happens.
Okay. Well, that's like that's kind of a good problem to have, I think, because it's really really easy to fix.
That's good.
Okay, yeah, nice trades. So I would have a big focus as well on letting this wave come out. I think that's like very very important here. You pretty much just want to last hit creeps here. I mean, it should come out. Ooh, yeah, like even extra orders on the creep like this, it does make it a tiny bit harder. Like, obviously, the wave should push out because the next wave's going to be closer. But if you order, like, too much, it's going to be kind of rough. Yeah, just focus on last hits. Yeah, like this extra order on the cannon and stuff, that's really not good. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much exactly what happens. So, yeah, let's see. I'd say like right now, there's not that much way you can have the wave any closer by now. So I'm fine with the wave. I think it's just like you're, you know, this ward is allowing you to kind of like hug this area and be safe. But the problem is, it's just like a bait. The ward is not actually
Yeah,
in a safe
I definitely
position.
baited myself.
Yeah, and when you ward, you've got to be like real careful because especially if you're versus a ganking jungler, right? It depends how good or like how map aware you are. But like lots of people, right? They'll be like greedy and they'll just ward something like this. And this ward, it sucks, right? It doesn't like give you anything. So if you like don't have time to actually get a good ward, you can ward like slightly further out like that and it's good. Or obviously like even further out is better, or probably like on the edge of this bush. If the edge of this bush here actually shows this, but it doesn't show this if you place it in the center. So keep that in mind. Like if you're trying to
Yeah,
keep, yeah, so like make sure, but I just like normally place it here. But yeah, obviously like the more map aware you are, the closer you can place it and still notice them in time. But I see a lot of people, you know, they'll like place it here and like even when they finally see the jungler here, they can't even react in time because they're like
yeah.
focusing on their lane or whatever, right? So yeah, and this is like, I mean, you probably realize, but this is like really, really fucking bad. Like if you're playing Irelia and you die for first blood, that's it's very tough because like you're a champion that like needs to snowball. You kind of like don't really provide anything from behind. Like you don't really have any utility. And also another thing is that in like the current meta, jungle snowballs insanely hard with kills. And
Yeah,
I think if you're just like if you can avoid giving the enemy jungler any kills,
yeah.
it's pretty good. Like honestly here, I know it feels bad. It's probably worth running under the tower and giving the kill to Zed,
Okay.
which sucks because it's like, you know, he's gonna be 2-0. But I think
Yeah.
avoiding giving the jungler kills at all costs is like really, really important right now. So go bring up the notepads. This
Okay.
is Irelia versus Zed.
I think another weak point I have is definitely like champion knowledge. Because I feel
Yeah.
like I jump around too much. Like I struggle finding a champion or like a making a champion pool that I want to stick with.
Hmm. Well, what champs do you normally play right now?
Right now, so I start off the season playing Jason Rise, and then I feel like I just like I get in and I play games and it goes good, or I'll like have a loss streak. I tend to like win streak and loss streak pretty hard,
Hmm.
and like after a loss streak, I just switch up my champions
Okay.
that I
Yeah.
play, which is good because like I there's like and it's from like a certain pool of mid laners. I usually don't put any new ones in, but like a pool of like 10, 12. So it's like I never play like the last time I mained a champion was like Vladimir, and that's before the 2 year break, and I played him like the entire season. But since then, I haven't.
Hmm. Okay. Well, yeah, I think that's like definitely something for you to kind of work out. But obviously, like if you can keep the champ pool to like 3 or 4, I think that is really good.
Yeah.
Let me actually open up your OPGG. What was your name? This is on NA or EU or what?
Yep. NA.
Okay.
NA.
Let me this. Okay, so yeah, like looking at like I think that the kind of spread of champions that you have right now isn't too bad. Although I'd maybe like one thing that I think is kind of important is keeping it consistent when you pick them. You know, like if for example you use Irelia as a counter pick, like if you then like randomly start blinding her, that's almost like learning a bunch of like new different matchups, right? Because you're just gonna face different
Yeah.
things. So like if you want to use, say, I don't know, like Rise as your blind, Silas Aurelia as your counters, like I think that you can have like a fairly large champion pool if you have like specific kind of conditions for picking them. But if it's just like, you have
Okay.
5 champs in your champ pool and you pick them randomly, you just kind of like flip a coin. Yeah, I think that's like a pretty bad way of doing it. But I mean, your champ pool doesn't look too bad to me. So, but yeah, so early game, we really the most important things for early game as Aurelia is probably like finding a way to get like a wave frozen on your side. So that's just like either
Yeah.
you just like start freezing level 1 or like fast push 2 waves and then have it bounce back out. The other thing is like find where the jungle starts at level 1 and place like a 230, maybe even earlier. Like I'd say potentially like 220 because Aurelia, people will always try and gank Aurelia early before like she becomes the 1v2 menace. So if you can like place a ward somewhere around this time on the opposite side, which you did, admittedly, it's just like, yeah, it's in the wrong spot. Like really
Hmm.
in river is probably like most important here because yeah, you can't afford to die as really like this early. It's just
Yeah.
really rough.
So would you say it's worth it if I'm versing a farming jungler to try to go for that ward, or should I just always try to get
Um,
the river one early?
I think you could probably be like a little greedier with it. So like your ward, wait, actually, let me see. Like yeah, your ward on the mini map there, it doesn't actually like see this path. Like I think if I were
Hmm.
against like a farming jungler, okay, if I were against a farming jungler and they had like no CC mid like they do right now, I think you can probably go for that ward and it's fine. But I think it's maybe like a slightly better ward to place it just like there because then you can see
Hmm.
the edge of the raptors and you can see this path. And like realistically getting ganked by like a Kane or Lilia through the river is pretty damn unlikely. But it's like
Hmm.
maybe still possible that they enter river or something, so it'd be nice to know about it. But yeah, better to be safe than sorry, because like the most important thing for
Yeah,
you
for
is
sure.
like just do not die. And I actually think you maybe could have gotten out of this. Like,
Yeah, I definitely panic as soon as
yeah,
she shows up.
yeah. Okay, well, whatever. I think the main thing is awards. So, okay, come back. How much gold do you have? 328. That's very awkward.
Yeah.
Damn, yeah, like the the mid jungle does look pretty fucked. It's like both of these guys have like what? I guess Elise has 2 kills and Zed has 1. It's definitely
Yeah.
gonna be pretty hard to play like a aggressive champ when that happens. Okay, Scuttle Crab Angle. Kinda like that. Let's see. I think. Yeah, I think this ward as well doesn't actually help you that much. Like, remember that she can just still go through here and you don't know about it, right?
Yeah,
So, like, I think
yeah, for sure.
probably just like ward this bush here and that should keep you safe. Oh, at least actually showed top. I guess she's just like doing some random shit. But she will be bot side eventually, and I think having that bot side ward, yeah, would be a bit better. But you can probably freeze this and be safe from most ganks here anyway. Okay, yeah, so I think just clearing out this wave is like a really big mistake because while the wave is here, it's like Zed just uses W, so he's actually fucked for like 20 seconds. Like he can't do anything.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is like pull this wave down a bit so that it doesn't crash. Honestly, even if the cannon crashes and the other three creeps are alive, like that's not too bad. I think ideally keeping the
Mhm.
cannon alive is better, but yeah, like right here, he goes from a position where the only thing he can do is like farm max range with Q, and you're like completely impossible to gank, and then like you use your 20-second cooldown W to just like fix the wave for him, and then like yeah, now it's just gonna be like way easier. All you really need to do here
Yeah.
is just like wait for it to come back to him, and like so yeah, like once he's in this position and it's just pushing back, he doesn't need to use abilities to like CS anymore because he knows
Yeah.
it's just gonna come to him, right? So now he'll just use them on you instead. So I think yeah, really like freezing on
Yeah.
Irelia is like #1 priority. If you watch like any Irelia VOD, whenever after, unless they can like push and roam somewhere or push and like use their priority for something, it's always gonna be like wave here and the enemy being like super scared of everything pretty much.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, she did see Elise. That's kind of nice.
I think my focus here is like I was scared of him hitting six and just ulting me, so I wanted to shove
Yeah,
under tower and
yeah.
back.
I think this makes sense. Like you're kind of you've used like all your mana on like Wing the wave and stuff, so you don't really have any mana to threaten. And also, I think another thing is like because he doesn't have to CS these creeps, like he is just using abilities on you, which makes you take damage, but you can't trade anything back. Because like normally,
Yeah.
say he uses W, that means he just like loses 3 creeps if it's frozen. So he's like probably
Yeah.
unwilling to do that. But instead, there's like no punish, and you just like take damage for free. So I think yeah, what you do here, pushing out and look for reset, it's pretty much the only thing you can do. Worth noting though, it's like 5 minutes 30 and you still don't have Vamp Scepter. Like that is Aurelia's full build, is 900 gold, but the problem is like you
Okay.
haven't managed to get there, because once Aurelia has Vamp Scepter, it's just like this fucking champ, man. It's so annoying.
So
Um,
that I'm trying to rush vamp sets around really, yeah.
you pretty much like obviously there's probably some other games where you could go like tier 2 boots and it might be better,
Yeah.
but Vamp Scepter just means that like now champs can't poke you out at all, and like with your W you can't really be all in either, so there's just like no win condition most of the time for champs once you reach that. Yeah, and you lose a lot of waves here. So I don't think there's much you can do about losing these waves, but you just need to realize like how fucking like this is an unplayable early game right now. It's just like
Mhm.
you're playing an early game champ and it's it's just fucked. Like I would say unless you like the agency for you carrying this game is completely gone. It's like up to the enemy team to throw
Wow.
it. It's just like
Yeah.
yeah,
I thought it was in the mid game.
okay, yeah. Well, I mean, like, yeah, I'm sure there's like mid-game mistakes too, but this is just starting the game like this as Aurelia. It's really rough. Like, you basically don't, because normally you're hitting Vamp Scepter off first base and you're like at least 0-0.
Okay.
But yeah, if we're
I,
just okay, this guy in base, that's kind of lucky.
yeah. I think like the incorrect thought process is like I want to shove this in because like my team's not doing great, so like I want to try to shove it in, get priority, and do stuff on the map.
Mm-hmm.
But I realize it just like
Yeah, well,
messed myself up so bad.
I think this wave you kind of do have to shove in because like there's no way you can freeze this wave here, right? Like it's already pushing. So I think yeah, shoving these 2 waves makes sense. I think it's like after this, sure, you can look to do something on this wave, but after this, we go back to freezing. And be careful how long you spend in the river. Actually, okay, this guy might base. No, he's staying.
Yeah. I don't think I ever freeze this game.
Yeah, okay, so like right here, this would be like, okay, this guy is potentially fucked. Like he just used W and the wave is in the middle and you have some. So this is like, if I'd say if
I
you have,
think I kill him.
yeah, I was gonna say like, this is pretty, he's like pretty fucking scared here. And But it's making it easier if you just like spam push to him, I think. Because like,
Yeah, okay.
you
That
know,
makes
he can
sense.
just with this W like this, now it's like really tough for him. If you want to like auto the range creep so that they're low, so that like if he comes up you can Q onto them. I think that's like
Yeah.
okay. But I think like just like outright killing them is probably gonna be bad. Okay, yeah, I mean I don't hate that. It is gonna like okay, I kind of do hate the W a little bit. Okay, but he doesn't have thing.
Oh, I think I die each I 1-for-1.
Okay, I mean that's like honestly not awful given how far behind you are, but I think let's see. In my mind, it's like okay, he's used W. I think you probably
I messed up my Q right there.
yeah, that's kind of tough. I mean, honestly, maybe you could just ult him right now if you wanted. Like maybe just I guess he wanted the extra
Yeah.
stack, so that kind of makes sense. But I think yeah, like he's probably dead. I don't know. I guess like if the wave ends up like this, as long as it's still like somewhat out in the open, it's fine. But I guess like just be really aware of the you're paying like a pretty big price every time you push this wave. Like it makes you way more
Yeah.
vulnerable and it like makes them way safer. And a lot of time they can just like wait, you know. Okay, so we
Yeah.
got pickaxe. Yeah, so right here I'd buy Vamp Scepter. I think it's just like super good
Yeah.
with the Irelia on hit Q, and it'll just mean you're like permanently full health. But, I mean the pickaxe, to be honest, isn't like bad either. So this would definitely be a freeze, and that's another thing. If you're playing a champion with shit tons of lifesteal like Irelia, it's a lot easier to hold freezes, you know, because if he
Yeah.
like pokes you here, it's fine because you can just like Q3 creeps and then suddenly we're back at full. So yeah, like letting this wave crash, this is really bad in my opinion. It means that like one, if he goes for a roam, there's like basically no punishment for it. And
Yeah.
two is just like yeah, once again, the kind of difficult part for him is just reset. Maybe if I remember, what I'll actually do is I'm gonna type in big letters. I'm gonna type like Irelia VOD. And we'll just like quickly look at one at the end. So I think
Okay.
yeah, the wave control will be like really, really different. Okay, yeah, I don't hate do I hate this? I kind of do hate going for this roam actually. So I don't know. Like you kind of have to, honestly. Yeah, I guess you kind of have to. I get the reason I don't really like it is because you just don't have anything. Like you have no ult, no ignite,
Hmm.
no flash. So you're just gonna be like so useless in this fight. But at the same time, they're really overpushed. So I think you should be here. But it's just again like if you're Aurelia with no like just nothing and like no good items, you're just gonna be like really low impact here. Like let's actually see what you do because I have a feeling it's just like yeah, I mean you're just getting like kited around the place.
I was just a bot for the day. I know.
Yeah, it's like all you really add is like a few orders. So I mean, I guess it's good for you to be here, but like you can see why you can't carry the game from stuff like
Yeah.
this, right? Because like, well,
Yeah.
what can you do? It's just like you're so useless at this point. Okay, we got the Vamp Scepter with full build. Yeah, probably can't freeze that in time. And here, like obviously, if you see like Zed top just like pushing and trying to take a plate is better. Like you shouldn't just like permanently freeze. It's just like whenever Zed is in lane, that's when you kind of like want to freeze. Okay, just like one shot this guy and probably kill his buddy too. These guys messed with the wrong mid laner. Yep, nice. So that's really good. Have a lot of gold. I think you probably just base right now, to be honest. So
Okay.
yeah,
That makes
like
sense.
you have enough gold here for item. I'm pretty sure. I actually can't even remember how much Bork cost. Um, But like, yeah, I don't know. The problem is, either way, whether you have Bork or not here, it's like you have to stay in lane. Actually, how much does Bork cost? Let me just fucking check because if you do have it, it's pretty big. Bork is 33. Okay, so that's 875, 900. Yeah, I think you have it here, right? Um actually, let me just check because I need to be sure. Yeah, okay. So oh right, so you had it on 15. Okay. Yeah, okay, that's sort of hard because you get these two kills. Can you stay? It would be really nice to stay for Bork here. Okay, I guess what I would do is I would try and stay, but you need to be like very careful here again. Remember, like this is just no sums, no anything. what you're doing here is like popping this potion and just trying to survive long enough to get Bork and like really trying like not to trade. Like, I think yeah, just like
I
lifesteal
think
up off this.
heavy trade and die.
Yeah, I was gonna say because like this looks good. I wonder what's like I wonder what goes wrong. Okay,
I
yeah,
think I'm
so you're
just
just like
way too aggressive.
yeah. Also, like when you play versus Zed specifically, you need to hold your W for his R
Yeah.
damage. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you just like use it like that, well, one, it's gonna get dodged, and two, it's not gonna it's not gonna do anything. So this is kind of just honestly, if you'd saved your W,
Yeah.
you probably win this, which is like kind of crazy. That just like goes to
I
show
was quite
like
upset.
the champ. Um, yeah, but I think it's not really what I'd be looking for anyway. Just like yeah, you have like all or like yeah, all your cooldowns are missing. You pretty much just want to farm Bork and try base. So that's like another just like random death given over. But you're actually in like a decent spot though. Those two kills really kind of got you back in the game.
Yeah, it was nice.
Okay, this wave's pushing, so you might as well just like push it in. I'd say once you get to this point in the game, once we're like 10 minutes, 12 minutes, like that sort of time, there's not much point freezing now because like people have
Okay.
cooldowns low enough that they can just farm. And also it's like you can clear the wave quick enough that you can just like look to roam other places and stuff anyway. So yeah, you're actually like kind of getting back in this game, which is nice. Okay, that's kind of surprising. I fucking hate invis champs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I looked bot lane and I didn't look long enough. I saw the Lux and I thought that the Twitch was with her because like the
Yeah.
Elise is underneath her.
Yeah.
So it
I mean,
surprised me.
I kind of, I'm pretty sure I'd make the exact same mistake here. Like, what the fuck? Why is he not bot lane?
Yeah.
Like, what actually happened? Because, like, you, oh, okay, so he died bot. Okay. Yeah, I guess if you know he died bot, yeah, actually, he can't be there. So, that's really hard, though. Like, I don't think I would have noticed that either. And honestly, the death is, like, not too bad. Like, this maybe should be your first death of the game. I think all the rest were avoidable.
Yeah, okay.
And if you're, like, 4, 1, and 2 right now, like, I think that's kind of fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see what goes on in the mid game when we kind of have all these deaths. Okay, that's good. You pushed away before coming here, so it's fine. Okay, this is kind of bad. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
just be like really focus on the mid wave because like right here, if you go for this ward, it's like you give up the potential to do anything on this next wave, and you give Zed the potential to do something with this wave. Like if you're right here and you just like one shot that wave, then maybe you can look for a ward or something, or maybe you can come back and clear this ping. But if you just like stay too long, order this. Even if you don't actually lose many creeps here, like well, I guess you miss like 2, which is kind of annoying. The bigger problem is that Zed gets this like window to move, even though like he's the one that's losing right now, and for some reason like he's the
Yeah.
one that's like pressuring the map. So that doesn't really feel very good. Yeah, so he shows top, and the punish is, I mean, that's a reasonable punish. I think he can maybe take this tower. So, I mean, it's not like the worst outcome, but I don't think he should have been able to go top. And I think that prevents this death probably from Sion. Because I think in solo queue, you can't really expect people to survive roams, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So it's always like, you just gotta try and prevent as many of them as you can. And if some go through, like hopefully your team avoids them. And if they don't, that's just like the way
Mm.
solo queue goes. Um, I guess another thing is like obviously while Irelia snowballs really hard, Irelia is much much better at farming than other champs. So
Yeah.
even if you don't actually find kills, like let's say both you and Zed are just like 0 kills, 0 deaths. Normally this is gonna be way
Mm-hmm.
better for you anyway because you're gonna have like way higher CS than him. Like you can get gold just from farming. He kind of struggles with that. Um, so yeah, I guess like while obviously you want to be like playing aggressive and like getting kills and stuff like that, if nothing happens, like if you're up a bunch of CS, that's definitely better than nothing. Like you shouldn't feel so
Yeah.
pressured to do something that you're just gonna like int to make it happen, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's good though. A solid kill. Um okay, this though I think is like a pretty bad death. So I think you really
Yeah.
just need to be focusing a lot more like on the cooldowns, because Irelia without like ult and flash is like nowhere near the kind of champ she is normally, or like if you're away from any creeps, right? So like right here, you go from when you're fighting this guy, you are like the strongest champ in the world. You have like 4 stacks, fully stacked Conqueror, you've got Bork, you know, ult, ignite. You're so strong right here. Now immediately after, no stacks and like nothing. Now you're just like the weakest champ in the world, right? So like you need to be fucking like running here. And honestly, you probably just need to be like running way sooner. Like I don't know if you maybe you like don't see it on the map, but like Elise is coming
Yeah,
here.
I didn't.
You probably just like yeah, I guess you just like don't really see it, but yeah, okay. I guess like yeah, for me this would be two things. It would be like really respect like your own lack of cooldowns. I think that's like really important. And then here also I think you can kind of know that this is like a little greedy. Like if you're just looking at the map, like no one's showing bot, no one's showing top. It is like pretty fucking scary to walk up to this. Like the top laner could be here, their support can be here. It ends up just like being oh yeah, actually no, the support is here as well. So that's a pretty unnecessary death, but again, I don't mind this death nearly as much as your other ones because like at least this one you're dying with like the wave pushed, um,
Hmm.
and like it's like this is the 21st kill of the game as opposed to the first one because obviously like a lot of
Yeah,
these kills wouldn't have happened if you'd avoided that like first death, that first blood.
yeah.
So anyway, die. Like, how many kills does Elite have? Yeah, she's 805. And, like,
Yeah.
that feels pretty bad because it's, you do just want to say Jungle Gap. And honestly, in my mind, I would be thinking Jungle Gap. But at the same time, it's probably your fault. Like, you gave her the first
Yeah.
blood. And she is the one that just, like, just insane snowballs off it. It's really
Yeah.
unfair, I think, how strong the jungle snowball is right now. But that's just life.
Yeah. I think it's definitely like a big root of my incorrect mentality is like I feel like I usually I mean I could be wrong with this too. I feel like I usually go even in lane or win, and
Hmm.
then I just like if what like one of the sides or both the sides is losing pretty hard, like I feel like I have to do something.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, even this game, I don't know, like this game, I would argue that both your sides are losing, right? Like it seems like top is losing and it seems like bot is losing. And like realistically, the only way you're gonna carry this game is by having way less deaths than you do. Like if you
Yeah,
just like give
I
over this
and
many
so
kills,
hard this game.
yeah, it's just gonna be too hard. Because like even though you're making good plays, like you've solo killed your mid, you like 1v2'd them in the river, like those are all really, really good. But the problem is you just have equally bad plays that you're making, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so same thing by the way, like I think if you miss your E here, you probably can't commit to this because like once again,
Hmm.
in fact I'm not even sure you actually want this fight. Like again, you're like walking to a fight with no ult, no
Yeah.
ignite, no flash. You're like as weak as possible.
In my mind, as that's the like I just like please don't fight here, please don't fight here. But it's
Yeah.
like I feel like it's like I need to follow up.
Yeah, I mean like maybe you show here and you just well actually I'd probably take this tower first. Like that looks like or
Yeah.
I guess right now you're probably scared because they're not showing. Okay, yeah. No, I think what you
Hmm.
do here is fine. You don't see them, see walking a river. That's fine. Okay, this fight starts. So what I'd be thinking is like, yeah, you want to show up and like if you can hit an E on someone, like follow up someone else's CC or just like peel someone, then you can look to fight. But if you just like have to queue in on someone, well, it probably shouldn't be Elise, to be fair, because like Elise is really strong. Like when you're playing a
Yeah.
Conqueror champ, a lot of the time you stack your Conqueror on like the weakest member. You like try and get to your
Mhm.
strong point without, fighting their strong member. And then once you've got like full stacks, full Conqueror, maybe then you queue onto the Elise, right? Like yeah, here what I'd probably be thinking, like where is Zed? Like you see Zed? Okay, I'd probably save my E for Zed to go in. Or, I mean, I don't know. Does Elise have repel?
Yeah, she repelled right here.
Okay, yeah. So even if you like aimed your E right, like she'll just repel it, and then your E is gonna be useless. So you probably need to be thinking either E on the Z or on the Twitch here. Because yeah, this is like another random death, and it's just this one is like honestly this death is much worse because you're gonna lose CS for it. Like if you have deaths and you don't lose CS for it, then you're only giving over gold. But if you die and you also miss CS, that means like you give over the gold, you give over a bunch of gold that you would have missed, or like that you would have gotten, and you also miss like a bunch of XP, which is like really really important for Irelia because like since you're always like in the middle of the enemy team, having like higher base stats is just super important. So if you end up like falling behind in levels, it's just going to be like real difficult for you to actually do anything. So, I mean, yeah, just like looking at this early game so far, because like, I don't know, I feel like I didn't actually write that much, but we talked about a lot. I would really focus. So like your goal is to basically like win your lane like as hard as possible without dying.
Yeah.
Like you really want to be, 15 minutes, say like, I don't know, something like I don't know, maybe like 101 and 140 CS or something. That's like very attainable. And the more deaths, like the worse it is. Like a slow game is not too bad for Irelia, just because you farm so much quicker than everyone else. It's kind of the same thing with like Rise, where like, Rise can farm 10, 11, even like 12 CSPM. So if everyone else is just farming and you're farming as well, you just like naturally get ahead. Now the great thing about Irelia is that you are really strong. Like you can take fights, and actually that would be another thing, is like really focused on taking like fewer fights, but like try fight more with like ult. At least ult, maybe ignite as well. Um, Now this is, or actually I should take fewer skirmishes because I think fighting your laner without ult ignite is fine because most of the time you'll just be able to lifesteal back up. But if you're going like a full commit skirmish, you're just going to be sort of useless without this, I think. At least if you're like this far behind. If you're, I guess like if you are at this like 1-0 point, you probably can just queue on the 8-0 release with Bork and probably still kill her. But yeah, here probably can't. Just too far behind. Okay, so pushing the wave. Yeah, I think this is good. Team's fighting mid, not much you can do about it. Okay, another thing is when you're playing, so let's make a little mid-game thing here. When you're playing Irelia mid-game, you need to stay on yellow trinket. And the reason is that if you're pushing this far up, like you have to have wards in their jungle, and the blue ward doesn't actually help you. Like the ideal setup is that you have something like maybe like pink here, ward here. Oops, that's meant to be a. How do I move that? Why is it on pink still? All right, let me restart. Pink here, and then like green ward there. Or you could have like pink here and like green ward there or something. Or maybe even like pink here, green ward there or something. So like if you just have like a single blue ward and it's here, this doesn't actually protect you at all. Like the jungler can just walk around it. They can walk through here. They can like walk through here. There's just no way that actually keeps you safe. And so like, obviously, Aurelia can 1v2 on the side lane fairly well, and that's, like, definitely something you should look for. But you should at least know they're coming, so you can, like, think about it, Rather than just, you're hitting the tower and then it's, like, suddenly a surprise when at least cocoons you. Yeah, definitely don't want that. Okay, so Drag's pretty soon. You're really strong for this fight. Like, you have both sums and you have ult. Holy fuck, they got us so much damage.
Yeah, this is a dumb death.
I mean, this is very close. Like, I think if you okay, one, if you're more fed, you probably just win this. But two, if you just have this fight with how strong you are and like with your team, you probably win this. Like this is their strongest member and their mid laner, and you just like almost 1v2 them. But the again, like problem is if you die on this window of using ult ignite flash and you don't get anything, it's like yeah, now you're
Yeah.
useless for another like 3 minutes basically. Um so I think you can probably win this fight. I'm pretty sure if you just like back off, wait for your team, and try get a flank position, and like that is actually another thing is you should try find a flank as Irelia. Like if you're just starting a fight with the enemy champs looking at you, unless you have flash ult to just like get on them, it's like way easier for them to like position around it and for them to be expecting it. Like if imagine you're an ADC, right? Like where's the AD? If you're like an AD and you're just like walking in here, if you see Irelia in front of you, it's like okay, it makes the positioning quite easy in their head. It's like okay, they can just like stay behind their support and they should be fine. Now they might overextend and you can flash ult them and like that's great, right? But like what makes it way harder for the ADC is if like they come into river and they see your team but he doesn't know where Irelia is. That's like really fucking scary because it's like, you know, he has to like really stand back until like you show, and then if he doesn't, like if he tries to DPS anyway and suddenly like you're just in the back line and he doesn't have any peel, that like makes it way easier. So starting a fight like this, really not what you want. So stay on yellow trinket. Yeah, make sure you have like ult ignite flash for dragons, and then yeah, like really make sure you get that good fight. Try find a flank before the fight starts, ideally. If you can't, it's not the end of the world. Like I don't think it's, I don't think it really is to the level of like, what's another champ? Maybe like Vlad, where you're just literally useless without a flank, but you would
Mhm.
still prefer to have one. Yeah, that's a really rough day. I also think, just as like a general, like a Irelia thing, I think your W usage is kind of bad. I think you just like use your
Yeah, I
W
agree.
for like damage and the stack every time because like now honestly I'm not sure if using the W any differently here would save you if you W'd now. Like it actually might, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, so I'd really think about your W usage rather than um just like using it in your combo all the time. Like even just like for setting up creeps or something instead, you know, like just tapping it and like not thinking about it. I think that's like the worst way to use it. Yeah, like if you're here and you can just flash ult these nerds. Okay, what the fuck? How'd she steal that?
Yeah, she got it with her
Wait,
demonic
what? Oh
embrace.
my
She
god.
got it with her demonic
Holy
embrace.
shit.
That was so funny.
Wow, what a beast. Hey, that guy stole it and typed my bad. Wait,
I
no,
was,
he's a legend.
yeah,
Okay, so now you probably want to be top, which is like annoying because Sion's already there. But just because like the next
yeah.
objective is Herald and you don't have TP. So okay,
So
Sion
this
should be
is
top.
definitely
You
a
you
question
go.
that I have.
Yeah.
It's because like I know like opposite side of objective, like depending if you have TP or not. But like a lot of the time, like they're just gonna stay in that lane. Like,
Yeah.
would you recommend that I just go to the opposite lane, or do I try to force them out? Because I feel
Yeah,
like
no, I
it usually
think
causes problems.
normally you should just go where you're gonna get farm. Like if he stays in that lane, even though it's not optimal, like that's probably just reality. But I think you probably have a time somewhere here to fix the assignment. Like I think you could honestly
Yeah,
just like probably come top out of base and just like ping on your way to Rift Herald or something, and he'd probably give it to you. But like, yeah, if
yeah,
he was just like, I don't know, let's say he's just like tilted and raging and whatever, and he just like won't give you the lane, then yeah, I think you just go bot, just like at least try and stay farming. But it is scary, obviously, because like, yeah, they just do Baron. But if I'm honest, I think if you're top lane here, maybe they don't do Baron, but if they wanted to do Baron, I actually don't think you can stop it. Like you don't have anything. It's like you being there is kind of like it's like fake pressure. It might make them think, okay, we
yeah,
can't actually do this, but yeah, I don't actually think you have any threat. Um, but yeah, I don't think this part really matters because it's like, you know, let's say this is what ends up actually losing you the game, like them getting a 20-minute Baron. The thing is, there have been like 40 some kills before this, like all this
yeah,
different 20 minutes of gameplay that affects this moment. And like, sure, they cash in and get a Baron, which is like annoying. But the reality is, we just gotta like early game matters a lot for every champion, but especially for like Irelia versus Elise. You know, it's like whoever's getting fed here is gonna kind of carry the game. Okay, Irelia mechanics. Ooh, close. So yeah, I think again this is kind of just you. I mean, you're just like kind of behind. That's what it feels like.
yeah.
Could we play? How do we use our W? Ooh, the W gets used randomly. I'm not a fan. because I think if you save W for
I
his
thought I was
ult
saying it to
here,
block the damage.
yeah, but I don't think he hits you. Like it, you can just like Q down, right, and avoid the damage here.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if it was like Z POV, you've used W, now you've used E, so like you're like no cooldowns here other than ult, and you also have no stacks. So like obviously he's gonna try and go crazy on you. I fucking hate when people get Baron and you can't kill creeps anymore. Depressing. But I think okay, there's like 20 more minutes in this game. I think we skimmed through them because I think honestly, the game feels very like
It's the same thing.
decided. Yeah, it just feels like I don't know what else. What can be
Yeah,
different?
yeah.
Okay, well, let's see this fight. Yeah, I really don't think you have many options. Again, like no flash, no ult, no ignite. Um, I wonder. You definitely need. Yeah, okay, you're building Wits End now. I was gonna say like you definitely need Wits End. It kind of sucks because like I think the Tabi. Oh, is Tabi right? Actually, I think you maybe should have gone Mercs this game anyway.
Yeah, I feel like that too.
Yeah. But you probably need Wits End too. But yeah, I guess you go Mercs because they just have like so much AP. And also their APs were more fed than their ADs at the time. But it's tough. Like when they just have like 5 people doing damage, it's really hard to itemize. So
Yeah.
again, don't fall behind. That's the moral of the story.
Nah, it's true.
Okay, this is what I mean. Like I think here you're very strong and like this works out sort of. It's like you have ult flash ignite, right? But I think this works even better if you're not like literally just running at them, right? Like if you're it's hard because you guys are so far behind, but the difference here is like I don't know. I'm not even sure if you can find a flank here. Like maybe this is your only option, but at the same time, if you're just like walking at them, it's like the easiest possible thing for them. So sure, maybe you can't
Yeah.
find flanks in this game, but in other games when you're not 7 and 9 and your team's like all losing, if you can find a flank, it just makes it so much easier because like look how much damage you take before you've even
Yeah.
done anything. It's like you get onto Elise and you're like 40% health already. So you're like relying on like the shield burst shield and your lifesteal and I guess like Lulu to keep you alive, which is, it's fair. But if you just start this fight at say 100% health, it's, you would just shit on them. And I mean, the fact that you're this far behind and you still just kill this guy is kind of disgusting to me. Did you flash there? You flash. Okay, so you ended up wasting your flash, but I would say flashing to live here is probably not even worth it, in my opinion. Like, having Irelia ult flash is a difference between being able to play the team fight and not. And,
Yeah.
like, what difference does it make between your 9th and 10th deaths? So, I would really,
Yeah.
like, really, really try value flash CD higher. Like, you can waste Ignite and it's fine. And you can waste ult and that's only 2 minutes that you have to wait. But if you waste flash, especially, by the way, if you waste flash and it's like not synced up with dragon, because like you want to have flash up for every dragon fight. So like if you dragon fight, flash, and then in the next dragon fight you flash again, next dragon fight you flash again, that's all fine. But if it's like if you flash at some random time like this, it means you miss the next dragon timing, and you probably miss, or you might miss the one after that, unless you're just like gonna hold your flash that whole time. So just
Yeah.
be like super aware of that.
Yeah. I feel like the game's just definitely over at this point.
Yeah, it's like really like maybe they could throw, but it's really not up to you guys to
It's
win anymore.
yeah, it's basically just like these skirmishes over and over again. Just die.
Yeah, that's rough. Your team just like folds because like this doesn't even like look too bad. Like you have flank under their AD, but your team actually just like evaporates before you can fucking even get in range. So yeah, let's kind of
Yeah.
just like skim through the rest of the fights.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, here's another one. Okay, this doesn't look awful. I don't really like the way you like walk here though. Like I think walking up is probably better. Like I'd be thinking, okay, like they're coming from here. You want to try get in that like flank behind them. If you just like
Okay.
walk straight at Maokai here, I feel like you're just playing front to back Irelia, and if you're playing front to back Irelia, you might as well just play like Victor or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like imagine here by the way, like if you're just like up above them, you'd probably kill Lux here. Yeah, like you just ult Lux. You'd be like up here, you probably just kill her. Yeah, like you'd be able to cut them off, but here, same thing. This is just like, okay, one, again, we've like wasted all, but I kind of don't mind using this. But I think now you have to leave. Like, no flash, no ignite, you just leave. And then if you fight this, I mean, just like, look how bad this is. Look how easy it is for Twitch to position in this team fight. I mean, just like watch Twitch and like see like what happens. It's like there's like literally no threat. So he is just running at you because there's just like you don't have threat on flank. You guys don't have any cooldown, so he's just free hitting. He's actually just like frontlining, and you guys still can't kill him. So insta dead. Okay. He gets another fight here. Okay, this fight. Wait, where did we use our ult here? I guess you used ult defending or some shit. But anyway. Okay, so we have flash and we have a flank. And Zed's dead. Okay, this is like not looking too bad. Yeah, I like the position. Holy shit. Wait, this Maokai killed his Lux, right? Yeah, I love that. He like cued you towards him. How did that happen though? Like I guess you're in like a weird spot. Okay. But yeah, I like this fight like way more. Like you can see how much better this is, right? Even without
Yeah.
ult, you're like able to find flank onto someone decent, and you know, if you're just like a tiny bit more fed here, or you have your ult here, you just kill this guy. And also it's really nice that like I don't know, obviously you don't end up killing her and she's like really low, but you like almost kill them both here. So even if you end up like dying, I would say you'd kind of done your job. And if you're just like a tiny bit more fed, this is just like a 1v2 double kill, even without ult. So yeah, that would just be, and I mean, yeah, I guess you guys win this fight anyway, because you did have like such high impact. Like to be honest, okay, Zeri gets the Quadra, but it definitely would not be possible if you like hadn't played this fight as well as you did. Like 100% you could probably play it better. Like maybe you, I guess like here, is there any, like maybe again there's a way to use our W better here. Like maybe we just like hold the W and then
I
like,
think if I had it for the Twitch.
yeah. Yeah, like maybe, yeah, maybe. It'd be pretty close. I think you probably could kill him though, yeah. Okay, so you guys got a drag. Game's actually like somewhat decent. I think you just died here on side lane, but I mean it's whatever, it's like your 13th death. Yeah, I mean I don't really care about that. Oh yeah, so I guess your team died and you're just trying to contest. Yeah, okay. This is, I mean, it's a real hard situation. There's just not a whole lot you can do anyway. Nice try. And then one more fight, maybe?
I die and the game ends. Sideline will be one who's dead.
Rip. Yeah, I think just again, like maybe try to time the W better. Like either use the W
Yeah.
when he's gonna hit you with like the 3 Qs here, or like just when the ult damage is gonna pop. I think either of those like makes a big difference. You probably should win that, but anyway, it's kind of beside the point at the moment. So
Yeah.
all right, I guess like the good news is I think that your mistakes are kind of easy to fix, or not like, I don't know, it's not what I expected. I guess you, or it might even be that we can't even focus on the other stuff until we fix this. But I think if you do fix this, you're gonna see like a really big change. So what I'd say to work on, the biggest thing, like in general as a goal, is to clean up the early game. I honestly don't even care about the mid game a whole lot at this point, because it's just, the mid game will just feel 10 times easier if your early game goes well. So the biggest things for that would be like really making sure your wards are in, like warding in good locations. I think having good wave control is also really important. Like try to keep the wave on your side like as much as you possibly can. We'll have a quick look at a VOD, just like a skim through it. We're in good locations, so just like in river normally, and like try ward at around, I don't know, 220, 230. I think that'll like normally keep you safe. I think another thing throughout the whole game is really like the important Irelia cooldowns, because for the most part, Irelia doesn't really have cooldowns, right? Like as long as you have minions and you've got stacks, like you're fine. But the important ones are ult, flash, and ignite. So those three, if you're like missing one, it's probably fine, right? Like if you don't have ult, but you can still close the gap with flash ignite, it's probably fine. Or if you don't have ignite, but you still have ult flash, it's fine. But if you're missing all three, you need like a very damn good reason to fight. And it's really bad, I think, if you die with these down, because it's like, you know, you knew basically that fight was going to go awfully and you still did it, rather than just like spending that time farming to be stronger for your next window. And I think like, yeah, making sure you have like ult flash for at least most dragon fights is really important, because mostly dragon fights are what normally actually decide the game. Like that's when the big 5v5s happen. So yeah, being there for that is really important. I think, yeah, the W usage as well, like, could probably be better. And finding a flank, I think, in team fights is good. Obviously, again, it's not always possible, but if you can, like, I don't know, let's say we're all positioning a dragon. The flanks you could find is, like, you could, if you can't, well, let's say actually your team is here. You could, you know, you can maybe wait here for them to overextend, or you could maybe like come here and try and pick them like when they move too far up, or like depending on how much control you have, you could even get here and like sit on a pink ward or something, and then when they go past. So there's like lots of ways that even if you can't get like a full flank on, like a TP flank sort of thing, you can still like be in a position where it's just, you want to make it more difficult for Twitch to position. Like you don't want it to be you're just showing before the fight even starts, and it's just like another like check mark filled for Twitch of like, okay, I see the enemy flanker, so now it's like really easy for me to team fight. So if you can like try stay hidden, that's really big. But yeah, and also like as a thing for like viewing your own replays, what I would do is after every game, watch deaths from the first 14 minutes. Just like have a look at them and really try focus on fixing these. Like try and just like clean up the early game. And for now, don't worry too much about the mid game. Like you can look at them if you want, but I think really cleaning up the early game and like figuring out like why that happens. And I guess like if you struggle with kind of, you know, like remembering to do these things, like I would just be like, okay, you know, like literally stick a note on your screen. There's like, says, I don't know, like wave on your side, river ward, and just like start with that. Or like, and maybe like Irelia CDs. And like if you honestly just did like those three things, I think you'd see like a huge difference. But yeah, I mean, you have like a lot of stuff to work on, right? Just like try work on one at a time.
Yeah, I feel
Okay.
like that's definitely my problem. Like, especially like watching all the fundamental videos and it's like, okay, trying to do all of these at once, and then I try to like do one at a time. I feel like I'm bad at
Yeah.
like dissecting out like doing this or that, like picking a specific thing from that fundamental to implement in my games.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to, well, I mean, one, it's like hard to work on everything at once, but it can be really like overwhelming, I guess, when you like learn a bunch of stuff, right? Um,
Yeah.
but I think, yeah, I don't know. Like if you chose any one of these things to work on, I think you'd see like a pretty big like increase in win rate, because just, I don't know, Irelia is not very forgiving in terms of like dying randomly. You know, like it's a champ that needs to be ahead. It farms really well. If you have random deaths like this, like you could probably still win, but you have to be really insane in Irelia to kind of like make up for it, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah,
What
let's, oh,
what
you
would you
go.
say, or sorry, what would you say the best way to like gain that knowledge on a champion is? Because I feel like that, I mean, like a lot of this stuff is champion specific. So I
Yeah.
feel like
Um,
like I think jumping around is definitely bad, but any recommendations?
I guess like, well, for me, when I learn a champ, I always watch a lot more VODs than I actually play games, because I'm just trying to figure out like, you know, what are my kind of like goals on this champion? Like, what am I actually trying to do? Like, am I trying to play aggressive early? Am I trying to just like farm? You know, like what do I do in certain matchups? I feel like normally if you just like, okay, I don't think it's bad, I guess, to just like queue up and play some games on the champ and figure it out that way, but it's kind of like you don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? Like everyone's already kind of done the hard work of like learning this champ for you. So you can just like go watch
Mhm.
someone else play it and then like, now you have like a fairly solid understanding, at least in my mind, of like how to play the champ rather than, you just queue up and you're like, okay, my abilities do this and like it seems like I should do that sort of thing. I don't know. I always watch a lot of VODs. Like, let me bring up this one
Yeah.
as an example because like here's an Irelia versus Z one. I'd be paying attention to like, okay, like how I guess like if you wanted like a checklist for learning champs, I'll make you one like right here. The things I'd be figuring out is like, items slash runes, are there any like optimal, things like that. Then it'd be like, how do you play like mid game? Like how do you play team fights slash skirmishes? And like what do you do in lane? Pretty much. I'd just be like trying to figure those out to start with, and then you can kind of just like fill in the gaps as you play. So like we'll kind of see here probably that I'm not sure he'll like freeze the whole time, but this is like sort of similar. Talia can gank, but this is season 12, so it's definitely more of like a farming jungler still. And
Mhm.
we're against like Zed Zin's out. So we have to be like really careful of dying to ganks. And like you'll see, like he's not even willing to push this wave at all. He's probably just like gonna try keep it in the middle or on his side because he knows like if he goes too far up that it's gonna be really bad. So like yeah, just like kind of keeping this wave in the middle, not like hard shoving. I mean, I'm honestly down for crashing two waves and having it come back. So yeah, I think either of those could work. But like if you actually just like pause in this freeze frame, like it's kind of good for him, right? This is like 5 creeps versus 5, and it's just probably just gonna stay in here unless he queues a bunch of creeps. And this is like a fine spot for you to be in. Like if you consider this compared to the one where you're getting ganked by Elise, it's like this one, you're full HP and the wave's in a neutral state, as opposed to, I think before you're like 80% HP and the wave was like really far up in the lane. So, yeah, I do think you need to be like a little careful not to just like take away from this session that you just need to play really passive. It's more that like your aggression needs to be calculated. It's like you need to
Okay.
think
Yeah.
about the jungler, or you need to like punish him when he doesn't have cooldowns, or you need to like set up the wave in a way that allows you to trade aggressively. Because I think you always want to play as aggressively as you possibly can without dying. And that like without dying part is like really important. Like you need to kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Now, obviously, when you're learning, you are going to have deaths, right? Even now, when I'm playing really aggressively and I think I'm safe, I still have deaths, right? So it's like obviously something
Mhm.
that I work on too. It's just like you slowly improve your limits by like testing them and like, trying to play on that knife's edge of like you're not quite sure if you're safe or not. So you try and like figure it out. So this is probably like the scariest point where the wave is like crashing into the tower like this. And actually that's another thing you'll probably see is that whenever the wave gets like this, you're gonna like really fast push it under the tower, because like you really don't want it to be there for any longer than you need it to be. But yeah, like, and actually that's another thing I would do is whenever you play a matchup on Irelia, come to YouTube straight after and just look it up. Like what I did here is I just searched Irelia vs
Okay.
Z, Irelia King, or you could even go like KR Challenger, or you could go like if you have a famous player that you like Chovy or Rookie or whoever like you like, just like search it up and just like quickly skim through the lane. Like I think when people watch replays, they always like spend a really long time and they just like watch the whole thing. But what I think is just like, watch deaths from the first 14 minutes. It should take you literally like 4 minutes or so to just skim through it, and then like
Yeah.
watch a lane that of the matchup you just played, and you can even watch it on like 2 times speed if you want. Just like watch the first 10 minutes, and so like your post game review is literally like less than 10 minutes, and it should tell you so much information, I feel like. But yeah, does all that kind of like make sense?
Yeah, it does. Definitely.
Okay, sweet. Well, I'll copy it to you and I'll upload the session and link it to you as well. So yeah, I guess again, to kind of like reiterate everything, I think if you just come out of lane in a much stronger spot than you are now, like you'll probably have a way better time. And I'm not sure if that happens to you on other champs, but like if I just look at your OPGG here, like you average 6 deaths and 7 kills. So the 7 kills is great. Like that tells me that like, you probably are having like a reasonably high impact, right? But at the same time, you give so much gold to the enemy team that it's like you undo all the good progress that you've done, kind of. Like I think
Yeah.
it's you somewhat expect to die when you're playing. Um, you somewhat expect to die when you're playing these sorts of champs, right? Because like you're playing some sort of melee. But I think you'll see that like on a lot of like I don't know, can I bring up Shovi's matches? I'm not sure if he's played
Yeah.
any Irelia, but you'll
I
like off. Oh,
I
you
think
go.
I think that's pretty funny because like thinking back to the times I actually like hit plat, like I randomly switched to champions, and it was like Corki and Zillion.
Hmm.
What like I feel like are really safe champions, and
Yeah,
I
it's definitely hard
died
to die.
a lot less.
Yeah, like okay, this is like Chovi's OPGG right now. So he only averages 4 deaths, and he averages even more kills. So like obviously it's way different because this is like high challenger and everything, right? But it's like there most of these games that it looks like he's high impact, he has like relatively low deaths. Like this one 13-0, 9-4. I'd say this one 10-7 is like, he might have had impact, but this game probably wasn't like totally carried by him. Like, yeah, like his bot lane's doing well, his top and jungle are all doing well. So like, sure, maybe he was the most impactful, but it's like, this is not the game that you would win if your team is losing. Whereas this
Yeah,
this oops, I did not mean to open that. This one here is like probably is. And in fact, like yeah, look at that. Like his jungler only 8k damage, his bot lane kind of looks like he's losing, but he's just 13-0. So like, hasn't really given
yeah,
anything back. So yeah, again, it's you do have to be careful because I don't want you to just like play passively and then up like 0
yeah,
0 completely. But if you can have like, I would say less than 5 deaths, that's like a good start, honestly. But the
yeah.
main thing is just like looking at the deaths and trying to figure out why they happened and then like getting rid of them like that. Okay, sweet. Well, I think that is everything. So, see, I think I copied that to you. Yeah, I did. So just let me know if you have other questions at other times, and I'll upload the session and link it to you. But yeah, I'd be curious to see how you go because I think if you fix these, it'll make a really big difference.
Awesome. I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, well, I'll see you later.
Yeah, sounds good. Bye bye.
Bye bye.